Hi everyone, Kim Schofield here, back with another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be using some brand new stamps from Sweet and Sassy to create an art journal page or an art journal spread like you see here. And I'll also be using a brand new alphabet set. So let's get started. Here is the new set, and look at the size of these flowers. They're gigantic. They're fabulous. You need them. This is called Fantastic Flowers. So I am using this is an art journal page that I had started doing some gesso resist, and I just never got around to finishing it. I decided I did like the background colors, but I don't like that ink that bled through in the center. So I'm going to cover it up. And I'm using Tim Holtz tissue paper. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. He doesn't sell this brand anymore. That's already pre-printed. So, but he does sell some that is blank. And so you can buy the blank tissue paper and then just stamp on top of it any kind of design that you want. At least I think he's still selling the blank stuff. So I am just using some gel medium. This is from the Crafters Workshop to add this paper onto the page. And if it's a little wrinkly, that's okay. It just adds to the texture. And so sometimes with gel medium, it dries kind of quick on the edges. And so I'm just going back over the edges, make sure that that is holding. You'll be able to tell, you'll see up in the right-hand corner there, I can't pull it back. So it is in good shape, and I'm going to set that aside and let that dry. So I have stamped a whole bunch of images onto a piece of paper. This is a mixed media paper. No, I'm lying. I think it's Canson Smooth paper. I'll put a link to this down in the description. So I'm not going to show you all of my coloring because I basically followed the exact same process for all of the flowers. So I am using my fabulous Zig Clean Color water brush markers, which I love, 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 love. So you do need to use a watercolor paper or excuse me, this smooth paper works really well too. But regular cardstock, it does not work very well. They won't move. And so you can use these with a water brush and to move the water around and create a real watercolor effect, or you can use the tools as I am to blend the colors together. So I have excuse me, I'm so sorry. Allergies are killing me today. So I put down a layer of the lighter color, and then I come in with my darker color, add that wherever I want my shadowing, and then come back in with it later. And you will see me sometimes scribble off on the side of the paper. That's just to remove, any of that darker color that my light marker might pick up. So you can see how quick and easy this is. So, so simple. And this is all that I did for the leaves and all of the other flower images. That's all I did. So I'm just cleaning that off on the edge to make sure that I don't end up picking up so much of that dark marker that, my flower ends up one color and you don't see that shading anymore. So I'm not the world's best shader. You could probably get far more, do a little bit more interesting than that, but it works for me and you get some nice definition there. And then I did use a white gel pen just to add some little dots to the center of the flowers and then some little highlights on the leaves and other areas of the flowers. So, and then I fussy cut all of those out and with my scissors. So with this excess, I can cut this with my scissors, which works, but the tissue paper is so thin that once it's completely dry, you will want to make sure it's dry. I can just tear along the edge here and this removes really, really easily. So now I'm done and I'm ready to add some more color. So I have some baby wipes and I have 2 distress paints and I'm just going to add that on there. You can see how well that covers up that dark area in the spine from where that ink bled through. But what I really like about the distress paints, number one, they blend together really well. And also they are not so opaque that I can't see any of the text beneath the paint. So I really like that. So I'm just going to go in and kind of blend those colors together a little bit and bring the yellow down a little bit into the blue, get a little bit of green there. So really, really simple. Baby wipes are awesome for blending distress paints. Gets rid of all that streakiness that you tend to get with the dauber tops. So now I'm done. My background is done and dry. This is an older stencil I have from the Crafters Workshop. I love this stencil, kind of little vines and little tiny flowers. And so I just wanted to add kind of a tone on tone look in the background. So I am using archival ink. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going over paint. So you can just see that subtle design there. So archival ink we want on top of paint. If we use a distress ink, it's not going to dry. It's going to react really easily, and it'd be very easy to remove that. So, but the archival, of course, will be permanent on a lot of surfaces, and so archival ink is typically my ink of choice in art journals when I'm, maybe not for the backgrounds all the time, but definitely for any stamping or stenciling that you're doing on top of your backgrounds. But I will say archival inks work really well on your backgrounds too. So I add a little bit more down to the bottom there, really just to fill in wherever the flowers are not going to be. So I'm using my gel medium to attach the flowers. And this is a very important tip. I used a watercolor marker. So I cannot go over the top of these flowers with a gel medium because it will reactivate that watercolor and they will run. So you have to be careful about that. I did have some of the ink, the gel medium kind of spooge over the sides there, but really easy to pick that up quickly or with a paper towel, and there was no problem at all. I just couldn't seal these down if that was something that I wanted to do to add more shadowing or any colors on top because they will activate with any kind of wet medium. So I had, before I got to this point, I had kind of laid out my flowers and my leaves and decided where I wanted them to go. Sometimes using your phone to take a picture of your layout is helpful. So you remember, I find a lot of times I take everything off and I move it, and then I can't for the life of me remember where I wanted everything. So, but this was pretty simple layout, so I wasn't too worried about it this time. I do think I ended up with the leaves in different spots. So once I had everything down and made sure everything was in the place that I wanted, I'm just going back over the edges and making sure that everything is stuck, adding more gel medium onto the edge of my flowers if I need to. And just attaching these leaves here, which probably should have gone on first. I love the set. Isn't this a great set for art journals? This is the Small Dilutions art journal, by the way, that I'm using. So the pages, I think, are kind of like 6x8, 5x7, 6x9. Maybe they're 6x9, I think. I'll put a link down in the description to those. But this just, these are awesome for use in this size journal. So I'm just going back in. Once everything is really, it doesn't have to be completely dry, but pretty well adhered onto the page so that it doesn't come off when you use your scissors to remove the excess. So I know this seems like, you're cutting off so much stuff, but it actually looks really nice because it almost looks like the image is just floating right off the side of your art journal page. So I really like actually bringing that to the edge and cutting off that excess. And then I'm just going to clean these off with a baby wipe. So now I have a quote here, and I'm using, this is the brand new, the little alphabet set is a new stamp set from Sweet and Sassy called Mini Grunge Type Alpha. And then I have some other Sweet and Sassy stamps that I'm going to use to create my quote. So I'm using just a portion of this stamp, just the part that says God. I'm only using that. So I'm using some painter's tape to mask off the other area there of the stamp so I can go ahead and ink up that one word, and then I'll remove the painter's tape. And I am using a Tim Holtz grid block so I can line up the words or the sentiments. Now you will find that it didn't stamp that well, and that tends to happen when you have an art journal and a lot of texture behind, but that's okay. You can use a dilutions pen, or I ended up using, I find the food ball pens are the best because they write on top of paint and any other kinds of stuff, and it seems like you really just can't mess up the tips of these, so I love this. And so there's enough, the image is kind of ghosting there, so there's enough of the letters that I can go in and just fill them in with the food ball. And you won't even ever know that that didn't stamp very well. So now I am adding my words, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I opted to put a ruler down and then take the letters, uh, put them down where I want them to go, and then now I'm using a block to pick them up. So you can do it that way, or you can put the letters onto your acrylic block and then stamp. So I did add a little bit onto that upper right-hand corner. I took one of the stamps, a little viney stamp, and I stamped that directly onto my art journal. And then I separately had already stamped and colored in the leaves on a different piece of paper, and I am adding those leaves onto my journal. So I did all of that, and I cut off that excess, and my page is pretty much finished. It's a really simple page to come together. Love the way it looks without that brown ink in my binder or in the binding of the art journal. So thank you so much. Here's some close-up looks, and you can head to my blog for more photos. My blog address is here at the end, along with the URL for the Sweet and Sassy store. Thanks so much. Happy crafting.